All right, we'll go ahead and start. Thank you, everybody, for showing up this evening. This is our first image competition of the year. Thank you for those who submitted. Do you know how many images we have submitted?
75.
75 images. So we always start the year off with a good number, and this is manageable on that. So we'll have Chuck. Chuck will determine how manageable that is as we go through this. The judge tonight is Chuck Rasco. A special judge that we have tonight in that he is also a member and has won multiple awards, including Photographer of the Year for the advanced level here with Lone Tree Photo Club. Since picking up a film camera over 20 years ago, Chuck has continually pushed himself to learn new techniques and advance his understanding of the art of capturing light. Upon moving to Colorado in 2008, he was introduced to an entirely new environment that has provided endless opportunities to capture the beauty of nature. Experiencing the grandness of landscapes and the vastness of the Milky Way skies above, Chuck is always looking for new opportunities to showcase two together and create images that many people only see with their imagination. And what's not on this bio is also just over the last couple of years, he's really taken a really strong interest in coming up with some amazing images of hunting dogs out in the eastern plains of Colorado and probably even further away than that, probably Kansas and so forth. But anyways, everything that he photographs magically comes into amazing images. Photography is not just about capturing light, but also the technique and technology used to create the perfect scene that draws the viewer into the image. Chuck continually strives to learn new techniques to push his photography further. Nightscapes and Milky Way photography have become a passion for him. Learning that 80% of Americans can't or have never seen the Milky Way drives him to create realistic images of the night sky using well-known locations. Chuck wants to show people what they're missing, as well as show iconic locations that so many have seen images in a different light. So with that, do we have any questions on any other events coming up?
Where can we see your images of the Santa Fe?
So I'm the curator of the VFW Post One Gallery, Santa Fe and 8th. First Friday, we have the gallery open, 80% veterans and 20% civilians. We're open, so we open up 5:30 on First Friday, which is this coming Friday. Go cruise the galleries along the art district, come by and say hi.
I'm going to have Chuck tell us briefly what he looks at. So Chuck, if you could share that with us.
Sure. So as I was going through I would, look at the composition of the image. If it'd be a stronger image, if it was composed differently, use of color, different colors in the image will complement each other. The tones in the image, if it's overexposed, underexposed, all that. Looking for leading lines, something to keep you in the image and have you just draw your eye back into the image over and over, so that way you stay in the image. And then one of the biggest thing is when you're scoring these images, you're scoring them all individually. You're not ranking this one versus this one versus this one. It's you see the image, score it based on that image's merits, and then move on to the next one, wipe the slate clean, do it again. So it's not like, oh, this image is better than this one, so I'm giving this one a 9 and this one a 7. It's each image is individual, so score it accordingly.
Okay, Chuck, are you ready?
Sure.
Abstract 147. This is beginner intermediate color.
So this is always a really good use of color, good complementary colors. This is one of those images where you can sit there for extended periods of time and be like, what the heck is this? It's one of those that you can just sit there and try and find details and try and figure out what you're actually looking at. The one thing I noticed with it is watch your edges. A couple of your corners, they've got some like bright spots to where it kind of pulls to that corner, like that upper right corner, which is one of them, where it kind of, as you're getting up in that area, that bright spot right there at the corner kind of pulls it back. And we trim this off a little bit. I get that a 7.
Around we go.
So this one is, I love the use of the longer shutter to get the swirl. And also your waterfalls in the background, also nice and textured and smooth. The leaves on the bottom right there, they seem to be a little brighter than all the rest of the leaves throughout it. And so as my eyes traveling through the image, my eye kept on coming back to that little stack of leaves there on the right. So I thought maybe a
little bit of a vignette on that side, or to tone down those leaves that let your eye fully travel throughout the image. I give it a 7.
Colorado autumn.
Great shot of an iconic spot. I know the area well. I've spent many afternoons at this spot. Good lighting on it, good all around. You got it with a good amount of yellow and not as much green, or after the trees have already lost their leaves. So good timing for that as well. That cloud up in the top left corner, the one really bright spot in the image. And so as your eye is traveling through the image, it catches and drags you up and out of the main part of the image. Crop that out or clone it out. Otherwise, it's the only really bright spot in the image, and so it doesn't quite fit with it. Otherwise, really well done. I give it 1 a 9.
Dusty and Dakota stop to gossip.
I like the backlighting on it. Good lighting on to give them the silhouettes. Maybe play with the shadows on the one on the left. Let the shadows a little bit, try and bring the shadows up on the face to get the eye to come out a little bit more. And then at the bottom, looking at it up closer, the bottom eighth of the image where it's out of focus before it comes into focus with the grass, there's some artifacts in there, probably from, looks like noise reduction, and at the very top as well. I would say crop it in a little bit tighter. You don't need the horizon line at the top, I don't think. I think cropping it down or down below down into those trees a little bit more would get rid of the artifacts up there, and then cropping up from the bottom to like that first grass clump that's kind of in the middle there. We get rid of the noise artifacts on the bottom of that image. I give it a 7.
Paula Caddo.
I like the composition. I think it could use just a slight bump to the left. On the far right, you can barely see the piece of a trunk. And then that far left tree on the opposite side of the image, the ends of the branches are cut off by the edge of the image. So just a slight bump in that image to the left would have trimmed up both of those issues. I thought this one felt a little over muted both in the sky and in the green of leaves there at the top. I thought I felt like it would have needed just a little bit more of a pop of color. Gave it a 7.
Gentle guidance.
Well timed with the movement with the mom. I thought the baby's eye was humorous. When I pulled it up on my computer screen, I thought for a second, I was like, is this a statue and somebody put a googly eye on it? It looks like the mom, touched him with the trunk and he's like, what the heck was that? Just 'cause his eyes were like really wide. I thought it was an interesting use of the filter to felt like it muted the background colors, and it kind of gave the elephants the tone of that background, almost like a greenish hue, to where they blend more into the scene than stand out. So I thought it was an interesting use of the filter there. I give it a 7.
Hanging out.
That was a nice portrait. Good use of natural lighting on the subject. My one thing I kept on drawing my eye is that top left, where after the tree ends, where you have the blue sky. It's a little bright up there, and so your eye kind of travels up that way. So I think cropping off that corner, coming in a little bit off of the left edge there, would give it the background more of an even darker tone without the light spots, making it a stronger image. I give it an 8.
Lone seal braving the ice.
So this one, sitting on my computer monitor at home, it was a little bit of a game of Where's Waldo? And I heard the guys here in the back when it came up, everybody kind of chuckled. They're like, where? So here, definitely sitting back here, it's definitely a game of Where's Waldo to find the lone seal in the image. I thought maybe cropping in on this one would change the color tone. The rock, the shoreline in the background, I don't necessarily think it has much weight on it. I think more of the blue as the background from the iceberg would, I think, liven the image up a little bit more and bring a little bit more pop to it. And any crop would make the seal a little bit more findable
especially at a distance. I give it 1.7.
Old cabin number one.
So I like the crop choice on this one. I like the half a cabin look. I thought it was interesting. The painterly effect on the filter was an interesting choice because the grasses in the foreground don't seem to have that effect. They seem like sharp and unfiltered. Whereas the left edge of that cabin, the logs there at that left edge, it kind of got a almost a odd texture to them because of the filter. I give it a 7.
Pretty in pink.
Excellent color on this one. Shutter speed was great. The wings didn't blur. I looked at this thing close and the eyes in focus, the wings are sharp. Well done, very well done. Only critique thing that I could really say, it would be to give it a little more space on the left edge, because that's the motion of the bird, which where it's going. So you want to give it a little more space though, like for the area that it's traveling to. Overall, very well done. It's 10.
Rocky Shore.
I like the composition. Well done. I'm a little torn on that top right edge because I can't see the top of those trees. From the image, from looking at it on the computer, just looking at it, it looked like they were fairly close. But I was kind of bummed that I was like, oh man, trees got cut off. Give it more of that vacation destination kind of feel. Maybe clone out the seaweed there on the bottom right, the little landscape cleanup. But overall, it was a good composition, well done. Nice effect on the filter used on it, and nice cotton candy in the water with the longer exposure. I give that one an 8.
San Miguel Mission 2.
I like the composition coming out of the corner. That tree on the left is distracting, and you can kind of see sitting here. You can kind of see a little bit of haloing around it, just from the editing of the image. So there's a slight bit of halo to it. I'd almost either take a step to the right if it's possible, just to get that branch out of the way, or clone it out. And then after you're processing, the time of day with the shadows, with that shadow there in the foreground and the right, if you're there either earlier or later in the day, basically the straight up and down shadows, the overhead shadows on the foreground of the building may give you a little bit more drama in it. I give it a 7.
Sanctuary found.
So I like the composition, the idea of shooting through the trees and framing it, using the tree trunks to frame the image. I thought the shutter speed was good. You still have decent detail in the water. I thought the exposure was a tick hot, just because in that water, there's definitely spots where it blows out and you lose detail, and it goes completely white. Really nicely done image. I gave it a 7.
Steer day at the Brown Palace.
So looking at this one on the computer monitor, I liked, since it's indoors and darker kind of environment, it took a little longer exposure to get the image. And so you can see like motion blur in the people, but the cows are like perfectly still. And so I kind of like that feeling of the motion around the steers. I thought it was pretty well done. I felt like the crop was a little tight. Back off your zoom there and give it a little more room to breathe. Get a little more of the surroundings around it, but overall well done. I give it a 7.
The Lone Lookout.
This one I kind of dug. I thought it was really well done. I like the feel to it. Overall, I think it's a really good capture. I would come in tighter with your crop on top and bottom. On the bottom, come in just inside those rocks so that you take them out. And then at the top, come in maybe a quarter in, the way you get rid of the rock wall there behind it, and make it all about the birds in the water with the blue backdrop of the water. I think it would make it a really strong image. I give it a 9.
The Patience of Dawn.
I thought this one was a really well done capture of the crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays. Good control of the highlights throughout the image. Nothing blew out and nothing was overly dark. There was detail throughout it. I thought it was really well done. maybe a slight improvement, that lower third, you could probably use like a gradient filter to add a little bit more, brightness to it, a little more exposure to bring it up just a smidge. Because on my monitor, it seemed a little dark. I give it a 9.
Tower of Memories Moonrise.
Well done, good planning or good happenstance, to end up at the right spot, whichever it may be, good, well done there. The yellows and blues definitely complement each other in the image, good choice on the processing, and I know shooting the moon, you gotta dial your exposure back. And it's actually a fairly quick exposure with the amount of moonlight. The only thing I could say is play with your settings to try and get just a smidge longer of a moving exposure to make the water smooth over. Cause there's some, you can still see some details and some movement and ripples in the water. Whereas as just a tick longer exposure would have smoothed it out and made it a nice clean reflection. I gave it a 9 as well.
Waiting for the Crowd.
I like the patterns in this. I thought it was really, really well done. Call the guy who set up the chairs. That bottom row isn't straight. He cost you. I almost want to see, this is one of those where looking at the crop, it's right there. I want to see the bottom of those legs on the chairs at the bottom of the image. I mean, you got 95% of them. It's like, I just want to see that end, just to give it some foundation there, a base at the bottom. Give it an 8.
Wishing for Thaw.
This one was a fun shot. I chuckled when I saw it first come up, and I'm like, well, I don't think you shot that this winter. At least not local. For this one, I thought top left starts to get a little hot as far as exposure goes. Starts to lose some detail in the stone heights back there. I thought maybe even come at this from like a lower angle to where you're not standing over it and looking down as much, but a little closer to the surface level would have given it even more drama and a little more feel in it. But it was overall is a fun image. I gave it a 7.
Now go to advanced color. Our first picture is a stroll in the rain.
So the shutter speed on it, just slow enough to give some, what I felt was unintentional blur to the people. So my thought was either go with a slightly faster shutter to get the people in focus and sharp, or slow it down even further to give it that purposeful motion blur. It was right at that in between where it was like, I couldn't tell which way you wanted it to go. And so it just gave it a little bit almost like soft focus, out of focus kind of feel because of the motion blur. And I thought maybe cropping it in on the very top and on the far left edge, cropping it in a little bit more to give a little more dramatic and moody feel to it. I thought I gave it a 7.
Colors in motion.
Oh, this is a great capture. Excellent focus throughout the duck, both face and body. The reflection down at the bottom got really close to the edge. And like here, there's no space in between it. So you're right there at the edge of cutting that the top of the duck's head off in the reflection. I was sitting there looking at it and I was like, because it felt like it's cropped in as a square. And my initial thought was, what about making this more of a landscape orientation, a little wider and offsetting the duck just a smidge off to like a little bit more to the left, and maybe darkening down the water around it to give more focus to the duck. Because with the water being bright like it is, my eye keeps going top right to the brighter part of the image. Maybe darkening the water down a lot around it to give the water a little more dramatic mood, but it'll also bring more attention right to the duck. I give it an 8.
Contemplation.
Excellent capture. I know they set these guys up for you and, hold trees up for them so they stay still for you and all that good stuff, right? Great, very well done. Great lighting on the grasses. I thought maybe even the same thing, right? Darkening the grasses down to even sitting back here looking at it again, he blends into the grass. One, that's a great story a great story to tell if that, if that's the feel you're going for, or, maybe even vignetting around it to darken the grasses out to make him pop out even that much more. But the blending into the grass with the camouflage, it also, it's also a great story and a great look for it. Cropping off just a bit on that right-hand side to kind of move him over in the frame, more toward that right edge, rather than having him generally centered. And that would make it a little bit stronger feel. I give it a 10.
Don't forget me.
This one gave me all the feels. I've got too many friends on the wrong side of the marble. I sat and looked at this one for a good bit. A really powerful image. I really like the lighting on it. Front left headstone is perfectly readable. And the two to the right of it, they start to kind of fade away in focus. And so I thought that made that front left one stand out even more. So powerful. It was chilling. I saw it and I was like, I want that. And I'm like, damn, I want to shoot something like that. So very well done. 10.
Eye contact.
It's a phenomenal shot. It's well done. Focus on it is perfect. Everything is sharp throughout. Beads of water on the leaves around them are in focus. It was so, the depth in it was so well done. Yeah, it's 10.
Fishing at the beach.
So this one I kind of had so if you look at the four corners vignetted, it almost has like a pinhole kind of feel to it. Because you can see the vignettes in the corner. I like the motion in the cloud. It's just subtle enough to where if you're back far enough from it, the clouds look like they're normal. But as you get closer to the image, that especially the big one there in the foreground, you can definitely see the motion in it. So I like that it's a long enough exposure that you get some movement in the clouds. I give it a 7.
Guardians of the Lake.
This one had great color tone to it. I really like the feel of it, moody, chilly, kind of damp fall feel to it. I like how the water in the foreground, it draws your eye into it, so it draws you right into the center of the image and into the mountain. And then the trees on the left catch your eye, and then all of a sudden you're back in the water and you're right back into the mountain. Just keeps leading me back in. I would say on this one, you needed probably a half a step move to your left because the trees on that left edge there, especially the front one, the edges of the tree are cut off. And so that one, I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Because on the very right, there, right at the horizon line, you can see part of a tree kind of sticking out. It's like, just a small branch of one. That little step to the left would have taken care of that branch and put that left tree fully into the image. It was close. That was close. It was a well done image. Give it an 8.
Just an average morning.
The tones in this one were awesome. The tones in the rock are great. Honestly, I think on this display, it kind of flattens it out a little bit. It doesn't give it the true depth of color and tone that I saw on my monitor. So it's a bummer for y'all. I thought that bottom edge, and you can see it right there at the very bottom. There's a couple of crags from the rocks that are bouncing right along the cut of the image. I thought maybe zoom out just a hair to kind of get a little bit more of those in, or crop in just a bit to get rid of them. Just because I think they take away from that bottom edge just because they come and go and disappear. Overall, well done though. I give it an 8.
Landscape tones.
So this one was the patterns in the rock. There's one of those, the mesmerizing pattern thing, right? You just your eye just kind of keeps going back and forth through it and following through the different patterns. The lighting was great. I thought there's nothing that's overly dark. There's nothing that's overexposed. So it's nice, smooth tone throughout. Lights carried well throughout it. It's one of those images that this one image can produce, 3 or 4 different images by cropping it in different areas and picking up different patterns. I thought it was definitely neat you can explore and even make tighter images out of it. Watch that bottom right corner. There's a little bump down there. So you can either crop it out or
come in just a smidge on the crop to get rid of that, add a little bit of a vignette to kind of close in the top to keep your eye just running through those patterns, but overall, absolutely well done as a 10.
Let's get mossy.
I thought this one was fun. I like the small pops of the fall color in between all the grays of the moss. I thought the color pop in it was phenomenal. That really caught my eye. This is another one of those where, and I know you're floating along in a boat and everything happens quickly, but you raise your camera. If you were to raise your camera up just a tick, because the top of the trees are cut off. And I got up there looking around, I'm like, the top of the branches got knocked off. If that way, if the branches were there, it would have been a phenomenal, complete image. Overall, I got an 8.
Magenta morning.
Overall, I thought this is a beautiful chapter, very well done. There's great tones throughout it. The color palette kind of flattens here on this screen. I feel there's definitely some warmer tones that you don't see here in the mountains and in the sky, right around the mountains, even more so than you see here. There was a weird artifact kind of top center where the brightest cloud in the top center, right in the middle of it. There's this I'm not even sure what it was. It almost looked like an overexposure or a processing artifact or a blown highlight or something. I cloned that out. And then this one I'd almost say drop the exposure just a smidge to kind of create a little more drama, a little more color pop in the clouds and that horizon line, but overall very well done. I give it an 8.
Merlin.
I love it. Now you're getting into my wheelhouse. This is the kind of stuff I like to do now. I like the background kind of darkens away. From sitting back here, something that I didn't notice on my computer, it almost looks like a doorbell camera. Heavy vignette, and then on the distance, kind of like the background's kind of fisheye. So it's an interesting effect, like looking at it from back here, because it looked totally different on my computer. On one hand, I like the way the light, the way the flash is hitting them. It kind of gives them that wizardry Merlin beard, that look. Looking at it on my computer, I thought maybe it was a little too much because I felt like the light was right at his nose and you get some shine on his nose. From back here, it's not as pronounced. His eyes are ever so slightly soft. It looks like the focal point went to the nose. And so looking at it up close, you can see the texture of the nose almost perfectly. And his eyes are just so very slightly, just a little soft. So when you're looking at it, he's looking just over your head. So I'd say use a treat or something to catch his attention so he's looking right at the lens. Overall, I mean, yeah, it's a great fun image. I give it an 8.
Morning sweet embrace.
So I really like the tones in it, that really soft morning light. Was very well done. Looking at it close, I thought maybe raising the crop on the bottom. There on the left, you can see some tire tracks in the sand, and there's a lot of kind of little things going on in the edge of the dune sand there. I thought maybe bringing the crop up closer to the grasses would give it a cleaner finish, and still give you the path through the dunes to draw your eye out to the ocean. Give it a 9. But I thought it was excellent control of the highlights throughout the image, though.
Morning watch.
It's another one. So well done with the highlights. Very well done throughout. Again, I think the display kind of pales it for everybody here in attendance. I felt the tones were a little richer on my monitor. There's three birds in there. For those of you that can't see from here in the back, it almost forms a triangle. So you got 2 birds there on the left or on the right, and then there's 1 bird out there on the pillar out to the left. And then the 3 pillars basically form the triangle the opposite way. Very well placed, very well done. Good job getting the birds to sit where you needed them to. And the only thing on this one, I thought as I was looking at it is maybe cropping it up from the bottom to get that bottom wave line to go away.
You get a smoother, feel without it, I think. It'd give it more placid look. That's 10.
Shallow stroll.
So another one, great focus. The eyes and the face are tack sharp. So great timing. And getting them to look at you and, ring your bells and whatnot. I thought the background and then even the foreground were a little busy, but I mean, I get it, you couldn't exactly go clean up the shoreline before you got there. So it's the artifacts in the water and the shoreline, I felt were just a smidge busy, but I mean, that's just a product of the environment. I thought maybe the camera, you should have tilted the camera down a smidge to get the full reflection. That upper part of the background there, of the water in the distance doesn't really do anything for you there. I think it would have been stronger if you had the full reflection of the bear and given it a little bit of breathing room underneath it. Oh, great capture though. Give it an 8.
Spirit of the land.
That's another one of those great captures of an iconic spot. Great color to it, great tones. Caught it on a great weather day. It's well done there. And there's another one I felt, just a smidge wider on the zoom would have given you the full reflection of the trees there in the bottom right. The tops of the trees, both the one on the rock and the very far right ones, they're cut off. That would have given you just a smidge more breathing room, and up on the mountain on the left, it would have given you a little bit more breathing room over there. And I thought there was, let's see, on the trees in the center, right in the kind of in the center, there's a bit of a halo. So just watch your processing on that. Right in the center with the mountains in the backdrop, there's just a smidge of a halo. So you were getting close there. I give it a 9.
The red umbrella.
This was a great concept. I like the motion blur. I like the pop of color of the white jacket and the red umbrella on the dark background. Thought it was well done. But I feel like she's on the wrong end of the image. I felt like she should be over closer to the right edge to get her feel like she's moving into the image. Where she sits now, I feel like you're gonna lose her and she's gonna pop off the left edge and be gone. And so it's kind of give you a little anxiety because you're like, see where she's going. So I felt like just moving the camera, pointing the camera a smidge more to the left to bring her right of center. Even 8.
Okay, Chuck, you know the routine.
Yep,
You've got 5
Yep.
10s.
I do. Yep, there was some strong images.
There were.
Yeah, so I've got contemplation was the one lane and the leaves. Don't Forget Me, which is the cemetery. Eye contact and the landscape. Those are the 10s that I have got, and I already know.
Landscape tone.
And morning watch.
Morning watch.
I'm gonna watch, yep. I'm going with Don't Forget Me, the cemetery. Just because the powerfulness of the story there and the strength of the storytelling in that image. And like I said, on my computer screen, the lighting on it and the tones are even better than what you see here. I thought it was a phenomenal image, so that's my pick.
Okay.
Like I said, I wanted to shoot that.
Okay, now we'll do the pro color. Okay, our first image, Danube Ghost Transit.
Excellent use of the motion feel of the light trails through the image. And then if you look closely on that bottom right, there's 2 guys basically standing on bicycles, and they're nice and still, not blurred at all. So I thought it was a real nice contrast to the motion of the lights. The overhead wires were a bit distracting. I keep catching the shine of the light off them, and so my eye keeps bouncing around up around, up on the wires. Overall, well done. I give it a 9.
Eye to eye.
Excellent focus. Obviously, I mean, everything's tack sharp in there from the nose all the way back through the eyes. So the face is perfectly in focus. There's good placement in the frame for it. I felt the branches back basically on the top left, as it were, and above his head were just a smidge distracting. We can clone those out. or even, use a vignette circular mask to kind of darken them down, even maybe a little more, make him pop out a little bit more. Overall, very well done. Good in hand.
Just cruising.
The detail and the focus in this were phenomenal. The wings are tack sharp, eye is perfectly in focus. I mean, you can see the details and the feathers on the body. The depth of focus in this was phenomenal. And it's interesting because up here the background is a lot brighter. And you don't see the texture as much. On my monitor, it was a little darker, and you got like little, the water was darker, and you had just like little swaths of lighter highlights in the image. And I thought that the background really actually, I thought, made it pop out well and made it even a stronger image. So I'm kind of bummed that it's lighter up there. I give it a 10.
Lower antelope.
The tonal range in this is phenomenal. I mean, if you've seen these slot canyons, I mean, it's kind of hard not to get beautiful tones in these images. I like the light, how the lightness and the darkness kind of loop you back through continuously through the image, right? You follow a light spot and dark brings you right back down to the bottom, and then light takes you right back up top. At very, very top, you can see a little loop of the darker tone. I would almost say just crop that out. Just as a small nitpick. I give it a 10 though.
Path of solitude.
That was a great vantage point to show the repeating patterns in the architecture. That's one of those images that just kind of keeps on going and going. And the focus through it and the detail through it are phenomenal. I thought, all the way down to the I think it's a nun, down in the bottom center of the frame. I mean, I was kind of zooming in and looking around. I was like, wow, this is absolutely well done. The lighting on it, highlights on it are perfect. There's nothing that's overly dark or overly light, and so the light carries through it phenomenally. If you want a nitpick, the closest columns to us at the very bottom are cut off. And so it almost feels like it was a pano shot or just cropped in that way, but I felt like if you had just a smidge more on the bottom to get those columns all the way in the frame, would have been perfectly complete. Give it an 8.
Pawnee and Cygnus Nights.
I know this game, and this is a phenomenal shot. There's enough light in the foreground, and you can see details, and it's not muddied, and so there's detail in the ground in the foreground. You can see detail in the leaves, all the way to detail back in the rock. I mean, the detail in it is awesome. It was really well composed. I thought maybe a half step to the right would put the Milky Way directly in between the plant and the rock. Where it sits right now, it's just covered by the plant, I think, just a smidge. But a half step to the right would have put it right down that notch perfectly. I get a 9.
Stately.
So this one, I thought come up here earlier, gave me a completely different feel than what it gave me on my computer at home when I was looking at them last night. It's a very striking image. The color pop of the face and the beak. My computer screen rendered it a little bit darker. And so like I didn't see any of the background texture or anything. It was like a black wall behind it, and the color just popped off of the screen. That being said, on my screen, I didn't see the body nearly as well as here. And so my comment that I wrote down last night when I was looking at it was just a smidge more like backlight to it would have outlined that bird almost perfectly. Whereas when I looked at it on my screen, it almost looked like the background was just taken out and replaced with a complete black. Whereas here you can actually see that, no, it's just a darkened down background. So it gives a completely different feel from what I originally saw. I give it an 8.
Stormy sunrise at the Twins.
There's another one of those,
awesome shots. It's always fun to get down there and get the mornings where you get actually snow on the red rocks. That snow, that contrasting color just makes it scream. Phenomenal color through the clouds. There's so much detail. I mean, you can hop from rock to rock, looking at all the detail in the rock faces. It's so great focus throughout it. Well done. I thought the snow is that last little kiss to make it perfect. I give it a 10.
3 10s.
Just
Just cruising this one,
lower antelope.
lower antelope, and this one.
Go with Red Rocks.
Okay, beginner, intermediate, black and white. First one is Butcher Shop, Penzance, Cornwall, UK.
I thought this one was a great storytelling image, and there's so many fun details to catch your eye. You know, looking around the counters, and looking at the focus on it throughout is well done to keep you engaged in the image, and so you keep kind of traveling around the shop and like window shopping. The exposure was nicely done on it. Very nicely exposed. Nothing really blew out. There wasn't anything overly dark. And the black and white treatment to it, had really good tones throughout. I thought it was very well done. I gave it a 9.
Fire starters.
It's a really strong storytelling image. All of us that living here, dealing with fire season, it's no joke. So a really strong image. Just because I know they won't let you walk up behind them and take pictures up close. You're zooming in a good ways to get shots like this. And when you do that, because of the heat of the fire and the distance, you start to get some odd artifacts throughout it. And so you can definitely see, like right to their left, you can definitely see the heat signatures of the fire. But I think overall it was a really strong image as far as the storytelling goes. It's just unfortunate that because of the heat and because of the distance, it kind of gave you a little bit of weirdness in some of the artifacts in the image. So I gave it an 8.
Liquid lace.
I think exposure on this was really well done. You can still see texture throughout the water. I know here it kind of looks like that far right edge blew out a little bit, but when I was looking at it on my monitor last night, I can still see some texture in it. So well done keeping it under control, keeping the highlights. And I thought it was nicely framed with the rocks and the tree trunk there. Overall, very well done. I thought I'll give it a 9.
Living in the past.
I like the composition to it. Another really strong storytelling image. I thought the tones carried well throughout it. Again, nothing too harsh. Nothing blew out. So the blacks and the whites carried very well through it. That far right edge of the house, again, you're just a smidge tight on it. It cut the far right edge of that house off. And with the title, of course, I was looking around and I caught myself wondering, are those period correct Crocs that she's wearing? I have back here, you guys can't really see it, but she has it looks like a pair of Crocs. And so I was like, oh, are those period correct? But yeah, overall, very well done. Give it an 8.
Power moves.
So this one I thought was a great concept. Execution was just a smidge off. I think it needed a little more depth of field because that main piece, the black piece there, is a little soft. That very top front edge that's closest to your eye is in focus, and it falls away really fast from that edge. Even so much so that the rest of the top of the texture, it fades away. But like I said, it's a great concept piece. I like doing stuff like this. This is one of my pastimes in the winter when it's too cold to go outside. I sit inside and play with my chess set. This one, definitely tones are better here on the screen. You can see more details in the black than I could on my monitor. So I felt that the blacks were a little harsh on my side, but this definitely gives a better representation of what I'd hoped it looked like. Give it a 7.
Rodeo queen.
So that was a great job on a portrait. Both her buckle and her hat are both readable. So the focus throughout is well done. Nice and sharp all the way through. The shadows under the hat were handled nicely. A lot of times you get
people wearing cowboy hats or hats in general. And you get the shadow under the hat, and it darkens out their eyes. So well done keeping that in check. That building back there to the left, I think it is a little bit bright. So maybe as a future thing, maybe try and in processing, tone that building down back there on over her right shoulder. But overall, well done. I give it a 9.
Snowfall.
Looking at it up close, I thought the textures in that tree on the left, there's some really great textures in that tree. And in the snow on the hammock with the ridges and everything, there's some really great textures in there that kind of your eye kind of gets running through. So it gives you plenty to kind of look at. Sitting back from it, it looks a little flat, but there's definitely a lot of detail in there that it can catch your eye. Snow underneath it, though, I felt was a little overexposed. You lost detail in there, and I thought it was a little bright. I give it a 7.
The jury.
This one definitely had that Edgar Allan Poe kind of feel to it. Looking at it close, there's a lot of green. I took it as intentional, the green in it, which definitely built up the mood and the image. Only thing is with that green, it made things like the birds, it made them a little more blocky. Where sitting back here, you don't notice it as much. Sitting away from the image, it's not as noticeable. But up close, when I was looking at it up close, I felt the birds were almost a little blocky in it. So on that right edge, you got something about a third of the way down in the dark sky. There's a white something there sticking out. And it's one of those things that, just one of the small details that'll catch your eye and pull you away. So I clean that little bit up right there. Although it was that dark, moody vibe to it. Definitely a good storytelling image. I give it a 7.
Weight of silence.
I like the crop on this. Where it wasn't just, it came down off the top of their head, so it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a near miss. It felt intentional. So I like the crop to it. I thought the tonal range throughout it was really well done. The details in it, like the dirt around their mouth and on the face, I thought there's a lot of detail in it. Looking at this image up close, it definitely tells a story. It's very well done. The eyes were mesmerizing. I sat there and just stared at this for a few minutes. I was like, wow. Yeah, I think it was just phenomenal. And on my computer, there was at the very, very bottom of the image, there was like a little bit of white at the very bottom. It was the only thing I saw on it that caught my attention. But overall, it's so well done. I give it a 10.
Then in the afternoon.
So I like the clouds moving through and with the mountains peeking out through the clouds. It's one of those that you're always trying to find the right conditions to get shots like this. So well timed there. Looking at it close though, I don't know if it was because cropped in or the way it was processed. It's got a real in the clouds. It's definitely got a real blocky or pixelated feel to it. I felt like and there's some artifacts in there. And I think it's got just the filter used on it. It kind of did that to it. And then on the that left ridge over there on the left, there's definitely some haloing from some over processing. So I think backing down the processing of this, actually, I feel like would make it even a stronger image. Don't go as heavy handed on the processing. I give it a 7.
Your Majesty, black and white.
This one is another one of great tones throughout the image. I like how the shadows kind of stack through the frame. You get lights and darks and it's kind of stacked throughout. Just unfortunate as far as where the clouds were, where the top of the peak is shadowed, but a third of the way down the mountain and halfway down the mountain is bright. Would have loved to have seen it reversed. You may try and go in and a little dodge and burn and kind of lighten up that peak there on the right, just to give it a little bit more oomph.
or draw. And then the grass, basically at the fence and back, I felt like it was a little hot, a little overexposed. You tend to lose detail in it, where there's detail carried throughout the image. And I felt like the grass right around that fence kind of got lost with the detail, all morphed into one. I give it an 8.
We'll go to advance, black and white. Reading a little nest improvement.
Definitely good focus in this. Again, everything's in good focus, good sharpness. I felt when I was looking at it, I felt it was a little dark. It's a little lighter here. So much so that I actually I felt like I lost the head of the bird. Just because the way the body's positioned and the way the head's turned, you kind of have to search for it a little bit. It just because I think it's just because of the way that it's the black and white, I feel like did that. I give it a 7.
Bullseye.
So there's a lot going on in this picture as far as textures. I mean, they're all or the entire image is texture here, texture there. I mean, it carries through the entire thing. It's even more evident here. I feel like if you're wanting the bullseye to be your draw, then I feel like the piers leading to the bullseye tone them down a little bit and draw the eye into that center. The way it is now, you kind of keep bouncing around the outside because it's so bright. If you're looking at it close, while you're looking around that outside, you're caught up in all the textures of the wood and everything. So that part it's good, but I feel like if you want it to be about the bullseye, to kind of darken it and almost vignette it down a little bit to push the eye to that bullseye, to the X. I get a 7.
Delicious imperfections.
The lighting on this, I felt was spectacular. So well done on the lighting, nice and smooth. It carries well throughout the image. Again, no hot spots. The highlights are very well done. There's great tones all the way from all the way through the tonal range from the lights to the darks. And the composition I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Very well done. I give it a 10.
Ghost of the forest.
This one, if you're up closer to it, it's a much stronger issue than from looking at it out here at a distance. The composition I thought was really strong. There's a V-notch in the hill in the background that basically lines up perfectly with that center tree, and all the textures throughout it, I thought it just, I don't know, it did so much more for the image. I mean, there's so much detail in it and so much to look at. My only suggestion is on that left side, there's a couple of branches from a neighboring tree that are peeking in that left edge. I'd say just clone those out and get them out of the way. So that way it's just these 3 trees and then with the background. But yeah, I thought exceptional image. I give it a 10. And that's one of those that if you look at that image up close, completely different from what you see here.
Go away.
There's another great action shot. Again, nice job on the focus. The bird in the air is, I was kind of combing him over, and he's very well done in focus. I wish I could. I'm starting to go back to judges of old, and I want to see more of the bird on the left. Where's his head? Right? I'm like, oh man, why did he cooperate? Right? Tell him to look at the camera or pick his head up so you can see the full bird. And that was my complaint to it was, damn, I can't see that whole bird. And then that branch there at the bottom center, it's just kind of there. I just clone that out and take it out of the way, get it out of there. It doesn't do anything for the image. If anything, it takes it away because everything else is light in the image, the background, and then all of a sudden you get this dark spot that doesn't really add to the story. So I'd say just take it out and get rid of it. I give it an 8.
Harley.
I want to meet him. I was like, man, that guy's a character. You can see it. I mean, yeah, I love it. The lighting on him is very well done. The expression, I mean, yeah, is just, I want to hang out. His left eye, or on the left side of the image, so it'd be his right eye. over there in the dark. It's a little bit of a distraction just because you got the bright spot, the highlight in it. If you could tell him to just lift his head slightly and turn a little more to the right, it'd alleviate the problem. But yeah, the textures and his fur, I mean, all of it's just perfectly well done throughout the entire thing. I give it a 9.
Parade day.
I thought it was a good composition, really good composition, and definitely evokes the cold feelings. The snow gives it kind of a, especially from back here looking at it, almost gives it like an old timey like pin drawing feel. Honestly, because of the Western air coats, this one may actually be a stronger, better image in color. Because then you get the pop of the color from the Western air jackets and the flags. My only balk at this one is the signs on the very right edge. You cut them off, and so you can't read the whole sign. And so that was one of the things that I was like, oh man, so close there. I give it a 9.
Riding the rails.
This one I thought great placement in the image. The leading line of the track taking you right back through the image into the buildings behind. I thought it was really fun. The detail is super sharp. Contrast throughout is well done. I thought it was just well executed. Well done. I give it a 10.
Reading Chronicles.
Good job on focus. I mean, you guys are, getting animals, their eyes and their faces in focus, and they're sharp. So well done on catching them in movement. I thought the black and white treatment to give it really good tones. You can still see the details in the fur. The contrast didn't go too far, and the highlights are well maintained. I thought the top left of the image was a little too tight. You cut off his back end and his back. I almost feel like if you had given him just a little bit more breathing room, and given him basically the back end so it was complete, would have been even stronger. I give it an 8.
Slap show weather.
A great story image. Definitely looking at it, you feel cold. I thought the amount of snow that was coming down removed the detail in both of the girls' faces. They're the closest to you. It almost made them like ghostly. So that was definitely, it added to that part of the story. And there's a weird, like a tire track from one of the carts that came before it, one of the wagons that came before it, right, basically just to the left of the girl on the right. And it leads back to that horse behind her. I don't know really how to explain it. I thought it was a little weird in it though. I give it an 8.
The party's over.
Again, this one totally different feel on my monitor. Looking at it, it seemed like it was a lot darker than it is up here. I thought on my monitor that the roses were almost too dark and a little too contrasty. Here they definitely balance out a lot better, and it actually gives better detail and separation here. I definitely do like it better on this monitor. I give it an 8.
3 chairs.
This one was fun. I like it was really well done with the controlling of the whites and the grays. It had great depth through it. And I thought it would have been even stronger if the half wall there at the bottom of going to the right, if that came to the corner, set it off even that much more. And I like that the chairs aren't perfectly straight. It's like it's got that lived in feel almost to it. I give it a 10.
Thinking about chairs.
It's one of those things,
That one. Crooked.
I like that crooked. The other one, you were trying to be straight. That's why I caught it. This one, I gave it more of a lived in feel. So looking at this one, well done as far as all the tones throughout it. I thought it was a really good capture. Flown that spot before I've done this kind of same image. So well done. I liked it. You're slightly, and we're talking just by a couple of feet off the center line. So if you'd moved a couple feet over to the left, I feel like it would have gotten a little more straight on, and squared the shot up and squared the buildings up a little bit more. The exact sign down in the bottom right on the edge of that building, the middle of the sign, just from the light on it, is just a smidge blown out to be able to read the whole sign. Overall, well done. I'll give it a 9.
Okay, you've got 4
So I got the Riding Rails, Ghost,
and
and Delicious.
Let me see, delicious, so the top one, third one over on the top row, and the rails, and then the chairs, those are the three.
Okay, there's that one, this one,
I'm gonna go with the pairs.
okay,
Just because if this one had that wall, that lower wall going into the bottom right corner, if it went into the corner, it would have been a more complete. So going with the pairs because it's a complete, very well done.
okay, we're on to Pro, black and white, this one's called A Different View, if it comes up.
Great perspective. The tones throughout it are awesome. The ceiling is, on my monitor was a lot. It wasn't as bright, so you can definitely see the detail in it a lot better. I thought the exposure on it was absolutely perfect. I think one more step to the right would have given a little bit of separation in that top left corner where the rings are from the different levels of the top where the way you would have gotten a little bit of separation. I give it a 9.
This was called Curvilinear.
So this one, that's another one where on my monitor it was super dark. And so here you can definitely see more textures. I love the shapes and the lines throughout it. It's one of these little roller coaster images where your eyes just following around the lines and darting all over the image. Very well done. Even the clouds and the sky weren't blown out. And so, yeah, great handling of all the highlights and the contrast in it. Give it a 9.
Denver Art Museum staircase.
This one, the exposure on it, and the black and white treatment were phenomenal. The balance of the lights and the darks just keep getting your eye, taking your eye up the staircase and you come back down. And you go right back up and you come right back down. So you can spend just hours sitting here just traveling through the image. I thought only slight improvement would have been to get that bottom stair directly into the corner. That would have, like fully completed the image, but I give it a 10.
Danger lurks.
Yeah, go ahead and print this one on metal, big, with a matte finish and take it over to Lone Tree. Go ahead and collect your ribbon now. Put it in the show and go ahead and take the animal category. Phenomenal. I love the high key finish to it. It's one of my favorite kind of things to do to black and white images. So that one hit home. The details in the alley and the body and everything in the face are phenomenal. There's great detail throughout it. That's 10.
Sailboat storm.
I like the mood this one gives with you get the ring shafts there and the fog there behind that mountain behind the sailboats. Give it a really good mood. I felt like the crop could come in on the left side and the bottom just to kind of bring the boats a little bit more to the front and give them a little more attention. I give it an 8.
Secret Arch of Oregon.
Great moody black and white with the sky, the detail and the texture in the rocks all the way through the image are phenomenal. Looking at it up close, I mean, you can just follow texture throughout the entire image. Absolutely well done. I thought the tonal range on it phenomenal as well. There's a couple there on the bottom right. There's a couple white spots, and then about halfway on the right side, there's another little white spot in the water that was just a bit distracting. That I'd be like, hey, why don't you crop those out? Overall, though, phenomenal. Well done. Give it a 9.
The San Francisco tree.
I like the treatment on this one with the little border. Kind of gives it that postcard feel from the 50s. But I felt it fit well. The placement of the trolley I felt was good. It feels like it's coming right at you. If anything, I'd have waited a tick longer just to get it just a little bit closer to you to give it even more of a prominent feel in the image. Overall, I like that. I give it an 8.
You have 2 10s?
Yeah, danger lurks. The crocodile
Okay.
or the alligator, I should say.
That's it. Everything? Thank you.
Yeah, great. You made great comments.